Okay, everyone, this is Anne. We have about a minute before we get started with our webinar. If you would, I'm going to go ahead and open up a chat box. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Great, and hopefully I'm coming in clear. I had some technical issues earlier today and was working with a troubleshooter, so awesome. Looks like everyone can hear me. Cheryl, you said I pop in and out, so it's not clear. Looks like most everyone can hear me. Background white noise. Okay. I'm in a really quiet spot, but it is a larger room, so maybe you're getting an echo. Maybe turn down the sound to see if that helps. Okay, great. Thanks, Cheryl. Well, it is 5:30 your time, 7:30 my time, so we will go ahead and begin. And it looks like everyone has signed in over under the attendees tab to the left. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's get started. So, of course, most of you already are familiar with the chat feature, but just to go ahead and make sure everybody's on board, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you joining us from? So in the chat, if you'll just let me know where you are, I'll do the same. Oh, we've got someone from Utah. Most everyone's from Las Cruces. Great, and I'm in Charlotte. So I just moved here about almost a year ago from Las Cruces, so I'm familiar with the Las Cruces area. Let's see if I can make the dollar. Let's see here. I'll pull it down a little. How's that? Is that better? Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So today we are going to look at habits versus hobbies. Specifically, we're going to be looking at bad habits and how they can support an unhealthy lifestyle. Pictures there you can see show quite a few bad habits that definitely wouldn't be good for your health. And of course, on the other side of that, you see some hobbies that we could choose to engage in that would support a more productive and healthy lifestyle. So keep that in mind as we talk about this today. So, question for you. Are your habits supporting an unhealthy lifestyle? Let's take a poll to find out. I'm going to be using the chat box today for our poll. How many hours a day do you spend in front of a screen? So, guys, it's not just television. I want you to be thinking about your computer, the gaming system, TV, and yes, of course, your smartphone. Think about it. How many hours do you think on average do you spend in front of that screen? Oh, getting some frowny faces. Oh, 8 to 9. Those are high numbers, right? When we sit down and actually acknowledge how much time we spend in front of the TV or computer, any kind of screen for that matter, it becomes alarming. The point of this is for you to kind of come to grips with that, have some awareness for that amount of time. Most of us cannot dial back our screen time to zero. It's just not reality for this day and age. So what we want to do though is say, hey, maybe I can cut it in half. Go out for a bike ride, perhaps. Some of you may participate in team sports, or pick up a camera and do a photography class. The reason we're looking at this today is for you to build the awareness for habits that you may have that support an unhealthy lifestyle. Okay. Okay, so some of you might be saying, oh, so what? I've got some bad habits that support an unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is an unhealthy lifestyle can equal chronic disease. About 75% of healthcare costs are due to chronic disease. The CDC tells us that chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and arthritis are among the most common, costly, and preventable of all health problems in the U.S. And yes, Cheryl, thank you. I did remember to record this, so thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, the key word there I highlighted is preventable. I mean, look at that list. Most of us really don't ever want to have anything on that list. And the fact that it's preventable is a key point here. Now, this is something else I really feel is important. The cost is more than just dollars, okay? When we're talking about your health, the cost is quality of life and life expectancy, okay? A shortened life, that's a pretty high cost for something that could be preventable. Now, screen time is just one example. So let's do an activity here. Let's do a whiteboard activity, okay? Can you think of some habits that might support an unhealthy lifestyle? Now, because this doesn't have to be habits you have necessarily, I just want you to kind of brainstorm and think of different habits. I'm going to pull up the whiteboard here. Okay, think of habits, bad habits, if you will, that support an unhealthy lifestyle. Now, the way that this works is you just come over to the pen or pencil, whatever you want to call it, and click on it. And then use your mouse to write out bad habits that you think would support an unhealthy lifestyle. I'll give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and do that. And I'll add one of my own. The pen should, do you see there's tools over to the left of the whiteboard? Are you guys seeing that? No, Cheryl doesn't see it, Kelly doesn't. Okay. I thought this was an interactive whiteboard that everyone could participate with, but it looks like you cannot write. Okay, change up the plan then. If you would please, in the chat, go ahead and type in an unhealthy or bad habit that you feel like supports an unhealthy lifestyle. Overeating, very good. Eating late at night. Netflix. Okay, awesome. Okay, what about, I've got a couple of them that you probably haven't thought about. Okay, oh, thank you, Cheryl. Too much and too little sleep. Video games. Okay, working too much. Too tired to exercise. Excellent. Okay, those are very good examples of bad habits or habitual practices that you may participate in that support an unhealthy lifestyle. Nice. Now, I've gone ahead and highlighted a couple of them. Besides the high screen time, I have high stress, sleep deprivation, and mindlessness. Now, high stress, some of you may say, oh, what do you mean high stress? How can that be a bad habit? Well, whenever you participate in something, for instance, you have high stress in your life and you do nothing to change that, it's a habit, okay? It's something that you do on a daily basis, and it's affecting you. So unless you're willing to acknowledge or be aware that you have a high stress life, okay, and take measures to change that, then it's a habit, okay? It really does support an unhealthy lifestyle. Some of you may be looking at mindlessness and wondering what that is. It's just what the picture shows. Mindlessness is, for instance, just eating in front of the TV. I know a lot of people who sit at their desk during work, don't take their lunch hour, they sit there and they multitask while they eat their lunch. Unfortunately, that leads to, first of all, you don't enjoy your food, you don't even taste it. You tend to overeat, and you tend to eat less healthy things. So mindlessness, not being mindful while you eat, um, not being present in the moment to enjoy it, is a bad habit and something that we all probably need to look at. Now, for the purposes of this webinar, I've selected sleep deprivation, and thought we would take a closer look at this. So I'm going to pull up this Boston College finds that the sleep deprivation so high that they have posted this flyer on their website, and we are using it today for our webinar to take a look at sleep deprivation. Now, they find that 77% of students report not getting enough sleep, and it's due to many different things: academics, clubs, athletics, social activities, and roommates. So you might be saying, so I don't get enough sleep. What's the big deal? Well, there is some serious cost. There are many health risks, okay? Lack of sleep increases the risk of heart attacks by 45%, okay? You have slower reaction times, not great when you're driving. Increased blood pressure, that's hypertension, and it leads to stroke. Your immune system is weakened, okay, so you're more susceptible to diseases and infections. And there have been studies that say that sleep deprivation is a cause of, it's a risk, it increases the risk of obesity. It also causes depression and irritability. And look down at the bottom, guys, it can lower your GPA. I don't know about you, but I worked too hard for my grades to have a sleepless night affecting my grade. And the last slide here, yeah, yikes, exactly, Cheryl. How it affects your GPA? Well, here it is. Okay, there's a reduction in sleep. Reduction in sleep can cause reduce your ability to consolidate recently formed memories. So what that means is that you're studying and cramming for that test, and you've got all that information in short-term memory. You take the test, and it never makes it to long-term memory. Okay. Also, lack of sleep leads to poor concentration, shortened attention span, and look at that: 66% of all students pull all-nighters. So this is not a rare thing. It's very, very common. And you can see how the bad habit of sleep deprivation has a very clear effect on your health, and it's not a positive one. So, we now understand how bad habits, can support an unhealthy lifestyle. Now that we're aware of that, you might be saying to yourself, okay, I've got some habits I want to change. How do I go about that? Okay, well, habits versus hobbies means just that. Think about a habit that you may have, okay? You cannot just say, I'm going to stop, for instance, smoking and quit smoking. It's a very difficult thing to do. You have the habit of picking up a cigarette, lighting a cigarette, taking a drag off of the cigarette. Those are all things you do without even thinking, okay? So in order to break that habit, one of the key things to do is to replace the habit, okay? There's obviously things like the patch because you need to replace the nicotine and other things that you need to think about when you're talking about smoking. But in essence, what you want to do is replace that bad habit with either a healthier habit or a hobby. Okay? To do that, you need to do three things. You need to identify your habit. Okay? You need to become one with your habit, if you would. You need to be aware of it and say, okay, this is a bad habit. I need to change it. Then you need to make a plan. You need to understand your bad habit. What environment, what's your environment like when you're participating in the habit? What are the triggers for your habit? You need to understand all of that and then make a plan to counter those things. If we're talking about sleep, for instance, sleep deprivation, I had a habit of staying up late watching TV too late, Netflix. It was my nemesis, okay? I decided that that wasn't healthy. So I had to stop watching Netflix at night and I created a different habit. An hour before bed, I put on classical music. I had tea. I made sure my bedtime was the same time every single night. And I had a consistent wake up time. And once I had those things in place, I was much better rested. I had an easier time going to sleep, and I also had an easier time getting up. I also was more focused. So there were very clear benefits to changing my habit and switching it out, but I just couldn't stop watching Netflix. I had to replace it with the music and the tea and the whole bedtime ritual of going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. Okay? Now, the last part of that is to stick to it. Be patient with yourself. Changing habits, it's not easy to do, and it takes a lot of effort, and you're going to probably fall off of the wagon from time to time. Just get back on and recommit yourself to the plan of being healthier and sticking to it. And just be patient with yourself. It does take a lot of effort, okay? All right, so that's something. Let's take a look at one other thing, okay? I know earlier I asked you guys to think of some bad habits that support an unhealthy lifestyle that you don't necessarily have personally yourself, okay? Now, what I've done here is I'm going to pull up a document and I'm going to have you guys identify with the habits themselves. So let me do that. Okay. I went ahead and highlighted um, the four bad habits that I highlighted in this webinar: sleep deprivation, high stress, not being mindful or the mindlessness, and high screen time. So what I'd like for you everyone to do is to go ahead and if you identify with only one of these, let's say you have high screen time, put your name in the high screen time. If you identify with all four of them, put your name in all four of them. This is just an activity to kind of say, hey, I'm aware of this and I'm going to start working on it. And if everyone could do that, that would be great. I'm afraid I have to put my name in all four. If you want to create an avatar for yourself, you don't want to use your actual name, by all means, go ahead and do that. We'll just give a couple minutes for everyone to do that. Okay, I see a couple of you saying you need the link. I'm sorry, you're right, you do. Here it is. You can click on that link. It should pull it up so that you can add your name to the breakout rooms. Did that work for everyone? It's view only. Let's see here. Okay, everyone, I'm seeing if I can change that really quick. If we can't, that's okay. Okay, everyone, it's public, so I'm not really sure what's going on. I apologize. That's okay. You know what? What we'll do right now is we're going to roll with it today. If you guys want to type in the chat box, bad habit that you know you want to try and kick, and you feel like you want to share that, please do at this time, since the breakout's not working. High screen time and sleep deprivation. Yep, I'm right there with you, Logan. Kelly, screen time for sure. I know, staying up too late. I'm a night owl myself. My husband is not, so sometimes it's really terrible to be on odd schedules like that. You know, and the thing is too, high stress and staying up too late, not getting enough sleep, actually leads to overeating. So you get into this kind of vicious cycle where you're overeating, then you're not getting enough sleep, because when you overeat, especially in the evenings, it makes it harder to sleep. Snooze button. Yeah, I'm an emotional eater, stress eater, which is bad, of course. I don't know if many of you know, high stress leads to high cortisol, which leads to higher eating, and it becomes, again, another vicious cycle. One of the biggest things I will encourage all of you to do at this time is to really start with trying to get enough sleep. They are hard habits to break, guys, but take a look. The benefits far outweigh the effort, okay? This list is, you know, all the wonderful things that you can benefit from when you start to break those bad habits, and take on hobbies that would support a healthier living style. You can knock out some of the risk for chronic disease, because remember, they're preventable, okay? You can increase your energy and your mobility, reduce pain. I'm getting older. I can attest that pain does start to creep in, and living a better health and healthier lifestyle does reduce pain. Increase your circulation, which means better flow to the brain. We all need some extra brain cells to think and be on our toes. Believe it or not, you can actually breathe easier. My husband's fairly fit, but riding his bike has increased his range. He plays trumpet, and decreased his asthma, which is great.